Barely 1 year into his second term, Trump's support is dropping like a rock. The November blue wave knocked his approval to the upper 30s, his lowest since the end of his previous term, basically the floor of his MAGA base plus the sympathizers who still hang on. It's even worse among independents. His approval crashed to 25%. The steepest drop came from the non-MAGA voters, the ones who made up 38% of his voters just a year ago. Now they trust him 30 points less than Republicans on the economy and healthcare. His second win was puzzling though. Stranger yet was how quickly many rushed to vote for him, only to jump boat the next chance. They fall for the rage, the tirades, the endless post-truth theatrics that suck up all the oxygen in American politics. And underneath all of this? His obsession with brutal force. His playbook hasn't changed a bit. Drain the swamp. Flood the zone. Post-truth blitz. Lie-spin cyclone. Rule by force. Post-truthing is MAGA's pseudo-scholar fig leaf. It's not just a fad. It defines the whole political climate, indeed the zeitgeist. Verbal, mental, even physical attacks happen daily. Anyone can become a target. Political opponents, the media, federal agencies. Really, everyone, anyone in his way. Post-truthing's most terrifying success is this. It has rewired public reasoning so thoroughly that contradictions no longer shock. They paralyze. Voters, the press, and opinion elites hit the same cognitive dead end. A fresh Harvard poll shows Democrats more disliked than Republicans, even as Democrats keep winning election after election. Multiple surveys find voters blame Trump, not Biden, for the affordability crisis by margins of 3 to 7, yet the same Harvard poll rates Biden lower than Trump, 47 to 53. The cognitive dislocation is total. Trump is the first American president who is a pure demagogue, openly anti-institution, casually breaking norms, and treating truth as optional. He's waging an unholy war to defend the supremacy of his kind, framing everything as patriotic self-defense against radicals and invaders. Let's be clear, Trump is no Reagan. Reagan cared about the Constitution and governance. He is not Jackson. Jackson fought elites but never destabilized the republic. Trump's populism is something else. Divide and conquer, constant escalation, and endless theatrics. He's driven by whims, impulse, and a madman's worldview. He breaks the American order and reshapes truth to fit whatever his performance needs that day. He craves authoritarian rule. He wants to dominate by force and across time. Dismiss the present as fake. Redo the past. Remold the future. Confuse people. Disorient them. Scare millions until they fall under his spell. At this point, it's not about policy, social stability, or national security anymore. Not even partisan struggle. He wants a structural repurposing of the U.S. armed forces. He undermines professionalism, impartiality, constitutional duty, and demands one thing: loyalty to Trump, not to the country. We've seen the pattern. Purge, intimidate, coerce. Insults, smears, derision. Reward the loyal. Crush the dissent. He normalizes the domestic use of force. He pushes unlawful arrests and detentions under invented authorities. He expands DHS and ICE into semi-paramilitary tools. He attacks federal officials in public. He poisons and corrupts chains of command. He had a military parade for his birthday. He reverts the U.S. policy back to regime change. He even commits a war crime on the high seas. Casually. And he constantly invents pre-truths, imaginary threats like migrant invasions and internal enemies, to justify unlimited power. No wonder people call him a modern Leviathan. When force becomes the only means left, giant collisions are inevitable. And now, the breaking point has arrived. 6 Democratic lawmakers, all with military or intelligence backgrounds, publicly called on service members to disobey unlawful orders and simply follow their constitutional duties. That is unprecedented. Trump's response has been exactly what you'd expect. Accusations of treason, public threats on their lives, pressure on the Justice and Defense Departments to go after them, and social media attack campaigns. Here's the truth. Once a demagogue gains control of violent means, democracy becomes a house of cards. The 6 lawmakers identified the final guardrail: refusal. Refusing illegal orders is the last line between a republic and rule by force. This was the last alarm bell. Trump had already poisoned the truth. He had already delegitimized the courts, elections, Congress, federal agencies, and the free press. The only pillar left, the one thing a democracy must control, is the monopoly on violence. These lawmakers stepped forward because losing that would mean the end of the republic, period. History is full of moments like this. When democracies collapse into caudillismo, military juntas, or one-man rule. This is the first time American officials have ever had to say it out loud. The usurper is bending the instruments of defense and security to crown himself. Trump has just overhauled the national security strategy. The next confrontation is coming. Stay tuned for part 3. Is Western liberal democracy dead yet?